government, divide and conquer along religious grounds. I mean, there isn't all that much difference between your Protestant and your Catholic anyway. You know, James Joyce, he would have loved to have gone to Trinity College, and he gets his own back on the bishop. William Welch was his name. We say Willie Welch, okay? Let me just set this bishop up, right? During the 1913-14 lockouts, when the workers were on strike in Dublin, it was suggested by an English socialist called Mrs. Montefiore that she could have a network of houses over in England, bring over the Dublin kids and feed them, but the danger was they'd be fed by the Protestants. That's what the bishop said, so he put a stop to it. That's what kind of a fella you're dealing with. Rather the kids starve than let the prods read the Bible to them, okay? So here's what Joyce said about him in his beautiful poem, Gas from a Burner, a broadside against all things bad in Ireland at the time. Everybody knows the Pope can't belch without the consent of William Welch, that Rome is being controlled from Dublin as opposed to the other way around, okay? This was also very well defended in 1916 by the OTC, the Officers Training Corps, who slammed shut the oak doors and the big iron gates and got up on the roof, two of them where the flagpole is there, and began to shoot down pretty wildly at anybody they suspected was a rebel or a Sinn Féiner, as they mistakenly called them, or a German, because their big fear was that the Germans had invaded. You know, I love the notion that it was very confusing as to who was who exactly, and there were loads of Aussies on the streets here on rest and recuperation, or which always amused me because I've never known an Australian man to do any work, so I don't know what the hell they'd be relaxing about, okay? But they wore the slouch hat, you know, the turned up hat at the side. Someone else wore them, the Irish Citizen Army, because one of their founders, Captain Jack White, had fought in the Boer War on the British side and adopted that hat for his new army, okay? So there's a bit of confusion as to who exactly was who. Now that's the old Parliament, as I said a few times. Maybe it might have been symbolic to take the old Parliament and re-establish an Irish Republic, because they are calling themselves the Provisional Irish Government. So take the old government, build it. The problem is one glance at it is enough to tell you why you wouldn't take it. There's no windows in it. There was once a window tax in Britain and in Ireland. The more windows you had, the more money you paid to the government. Hence the phrase we use in Britain and in Ireland and around the world, daylight robbery, when you're being ripped off in broad daylight. I mean, it's a great tax from a tax collector's perspective. Margaret Thatcher would have loved it, because everybody who has a house would have a window in the house. So it's a real catch-all, if you will. The Bank of Ireland bought that building over very quickly after the Act of Union, which removed the Parliament in 1801 and blocked up the windows, right, because their clever accountants realised that they'd save money in the long term, if you will, okay? You go in, do the book accounts and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to bring you off on a different route though now, okay?